The story with Arvo Pärt and our family is a kind of a unique story, because one of the perhaps most important early champions of Arvo Pärt's music was my father. They were very close friends, and to this day they are very close friends. And Arvo Pärt in the beginning was actually known as the kind of avant-garde composer who has been influenced by this sort of Soviet avant-garde and dodecaphonic music very that is very hard to kind of enjoy. It was a message. The very first piece that he ever wrote for the orchestra is called Necrologue. I mean, it's already a message. It has a lot of dissonances and clashes and sounds that are loud and disturbing. And his first symphony, second symphony, everything was very modern and appropriate for that time. And slowly, but very slowly, gradually, he started to move away from it and found more of a religious sort of connotations in his music. And it was obviously clear enough for the authorities that it is a little bit dangerous for them, because it had juxtaposed the reality of where Arvo Pärt was living, their society, with something much more wholesome and beautiful and spiritual. And of course, God in the religious official form and communism, they didn't mix very well, because communism is a kind of a cult and it's a religion on its own, and they were absolutely banning the piece after the first performance. So my father, being quite reactionary to this decision, he performed it next day as well. And that was the beginning of the kind of, what could be said, beginning of an end of the Soviet era, because for Arvo Pärt and my family, because it was the moment where they made the life so difficult for both my family and Arvo, that there was eventually a decision to leave the country. Anything to do with religion during the Soviet time was actually, maybe 50%, even more of it, was an actual protest, a silent protest against the regime. And the fact that it was officially not allowed to be religious, and if you said that I am religious and I go to church, you were fired from the job. You were not able to exist in that society. So the hints of any kind of spirituality were a quiet ways of and sometimes not so quiet ways of resisting, or showing your protest, your dissatisfaction with the current world that happened in Soviet Union. I think it is a very clear sign that there is a need in our busy world and in our quite tension-filled world for something that is calming, spiritual, reassuring, somehow connects with the inner part of the human soul. Because, you know, I think that we live in a world where we are satisfying our outer needs. It's all about, you know, consumerism, the things that we can have, the things that we can buy, the things that we can immediately be affected by. And a lot of the things that really mean something are the ones that are inside us. We don't need anything from outside. And this music somehow makes you look inside, makes you look a little bit inward and different thoughts about your own existence and your own comfort zone. Everything has to do with your own reaction to the world, rather than consuming incredible amount of information, and a lot of it is negative, and a lot of it is disturbing, and a lot of it is is contradicting, and so I think that it just is a good example. Arvo Pärt's music is a good example that we need to take care of our inner world, and his music somehow leads us, helps us to look inside more. I think each piece of Arvo's can be seen as sacred piece, but it doesn't necessarily mean that each piece deals directly with religion. Most of the music, I think, is something that deals with the purity of the sound. It's not minimalism, because minimalism has to do with minimal resources and using the resources in a very clever way. His music actually is quite romantic, and his music sometimes uses the one note in the right place. And that's all you need. We always feel like we need to be clever how to organize, how to make a certain an interesting, clever, ingenious way of organizing music. A simple bell in the right place can be enough. Tähistame Arvo Pärdi 90. juubelit koos.